You can have ideas, plans, things you want to go for, or you can just always only see them in the light of something that might get tangible in the future, that might come handy, that might get to reality, when most of the times these plans and ideations one has are just getting buffed away. And that is happening, I think, only because we are not driven enough by division, mostly. So when I stumbled upon the exact situation where I just like left behind all the plans I had, all the things I wanted to pursue, at some point I started to question why I stopped trying it on a deeper way. How can I ever get that good? How can I ever achieve that if I don't do that? Because we measure by success, by determined factors where you can like see, okay, when doing or putting enough effort in it, you'll certainly get that back. Not always will you get that specific thing back, because it's also very much determined by how much you are willing to put into, and others have more resilience putting in more than you might have, and so you might get paced out or being torn back. But it's not about that, it's about the experience. It's about trying to find your own meaning in the thing you like to do, in the pursuit of doing it, not in the measurement of how good someone else is and how good you might uh, become as well. And if not, then you are disappointed. Yeah, for sure, when it's starting to get competitive, you start to measure. And also when you're in the other on the other side of the positioning, where you are the one that's doing better than others, even there you see these like uh, steps ahead, because it gives you like the clarity of where you are. There always have to be like these or some key factors that determine or define what may be good, where is more progress already made, and where isn't. So when I started, and we all started doing things, me specifically, as this is my experience of life, I started very many things. I tried out so many different types of sports. I tried out playing different kind of instruments. I tried out quite a lot. And most of the time I just put it aside and stopped doing it after a while. And I never understood why, because I for sure had to like make the experience in the first place to see through that kind of thing. But not trying hard enough certainly did something with me. And the thing that did it to me was that I wasn't able to persist no more when it came to a point where I had to. Otherwise, I won't see any progress. So yeah, I didn't think that rain is coming, but I gotta cover the cam because I don't want to make no. Oh, no, we already quite wet here. That wasn't planned, but yeah, you can't plan the weather anyway, so oh, we clean again. Looking good. Covering. Still recording. Sorry. So I think years back then, the reason why I stopped doing things I initially thought I would really like to do was the fact that I didn't have enough endurance and I didn't have enough like actual motivation staying behind it to get something back from it, because what I got to live was the ease. And what I mean by that is I just got way too many things in my early years, and I'm not saying that it is a bad thing, because my mom would like say, oh, why are you like picking on how I did this and that now? I just did it for your best, and that's totally fine. And I'm very happy you did all the best for me and you gave it all, and I very much appreciate all my mom did. But I can also see things differently now as I'm grown up and know how certain things define themselves and which kind of things made me the person I am today. And what I'm clearly seeing is when you are giving too much, or what the word too much is not right, but when you are giving much without like having in a specific exchange or showcasing your child what they might have to do to get something specific, and that everything comes with its cost, and when it's not the monetary cost, it is the cost of energy you gotta come up, it's the cost of doing a specific thing or just persisting, paying with your time and your effort. And when you're not paying with your effort and just get things thrown at you because you want to in that exact moment, and it doesn't take long till the next moment, and in the next moment you already got it, then it's too easy. Because when you're grown, then things don't work out as that no more. I cannot just say, okay, please give me this or give me that, because I ain't living in a rich family where I can do things like that, and it doesn't matter how much money is behind that, because the people in charge are the people having the money are in charge of how they behave with it, and there are certainly people as well that have money and don't just give it away to, or like gift it all of their children for just like living. But in my case, I couldn't say they would have it all and I could just like live off this. So where the problem occurs is when you are getting thrown in a different kind of pot. When you are starting to see things like in a way where you don't have to put much effort in it to get something back, you somehow lean back as well. And I think this act of leaning back is quite a dangerous one, because you should not ever lean back in life, because that is not the reason of life, in my opinion. We are here to like find solutions to the problems we have. We are here to grow in certain fields. We are here to develop ourselves, to find new ways of living, and to ultimately get ahead of previous times where things might not have been the way we wished they would be. So having the ease in any moment without a previously experienced life where things were harder is quite has quite some form factors to it. I see very like in a not skeptical way, but I see it as something that might mess oneself up if one doesn't get behind that specific fact, where you just realize that even though you got it all already, because family situations brought things like that, and you could maybe just like do nothing your whole life as a young teenager, when you realized, okay, there's shitloads of money in my fam, and yeah, they already gave me so much and got some bank accounts for me as well where there's tons of money in there. I wouldn't need to like grow from that. I think things are, I've never experienced that, and it's an interesting yeah, like it's interesting feeling to delve myself into a realm I haven't experienced myself, and I'm also not like coming up with some sort of conclusions I see. These are only like thought processes I have, and it's certainly not the mass, and not all the people are thinking like that for sure, and are not living like that, and many take the opportunity and make even more out of that, as they already got like this jumping like surface where they can head off and get themselves moving easier, as there's capital already there. But when you're not in that position and you never experience these things, you gotta actually come up with so much effort to get things rolling and get things moving. That's why I think it's so inspiring seeing people blow up out of nothing, making multi-million billion businesses, when it's the complete opposite. And I don't think this is only like inspiring because of the fact they just made it, but because of the contrast. And I think many things conclude out of seeing the whole spectrum of a specific topic. When you were down there and it felt like the biggest shithole you've ever entered, because life didn't made it easy for you, and you said to yourself, I'll do something about that and I'll move ahead of that and I'll get myself out of this, and you put in so much effort to get things moving, and years later you come out on the other side being in the state where you always wish to be, and you put in the hard effort and it paid off, then that is like, that is, wow. I i really look up to people doing things like that, and I haven't come to that point yet. I've also not experienced the complete low, on a financial basis, in regarding family situations, and I hope the best for everyone out there having way harder struggles than I experienced. But I had my experiences where I just let myself go and drop down very deep. And that just happened with drugs. When you start getting into these kind of fields and you just strain it and go deeper, go harder, and try out more, and somehow get addicted to certain stuff, yeah, then you're experiencing quite a low, and you can like live on and maybe not be too deep into certain stuff as you realize some things about it and moved ahead of it, um, and got rid of some addictions. But the realization is, it's not uh, like written in stone that this realization made you change overall. You might have changed a little bit, you might have seen some things you don't want to see no more, as you got to understand that it's not going doing good on your psyche and your body and everything. But it's only the first step of realizing something, but it's your potential. When you see the down of something, you also get, as a gift for your effort, back a certain realization which can multiply itself by the actual things you do to pursue what the realization is telling you and showing you. But it has to be set up practically before the realization gets real life, as a realization is only a thought process. It's not something that's actually manifested yet. So it's only the beginning of a journey to grow into. And getting back to how I like misused the situation where the ease of living caught up on me, I also missed out on these times. What I missed out on in these times was that there is an that you have to live the exchange of doing things. When you put in effort, you'll get back insights, you'll get back growth, you'll get back these realizations. And from those on, you can also try to move them into like the practical world and internalize and actually move further and grow further and build higher. But when the exchange in itself isn't there, as you have found like ways to manipulate your way through, or found ways where it's not very hard to get something for that, for the thing that you want, then certainly this also has its impact on oneself in regard of how good you'll be in the exchange once you are thrown out into this world on your own. And that's why I think it's such a fundamental thing to understand and wrap your head around the ability to keep up on that exchange with whatever you're doing. And you can apply that exchange kind of word onto so many things you're pursuing, because it's always just built on the effort and the things you're gonna get back. And if that kind of like gets out of balance and you get back more for less effort, you'll certainly move into a direction where you start putting in putting in less effort as you get back the things you want. And when there's nothing more you need to do, and you just gotta do little to get much back, then yeah, most of the times people just then lean back. And I've seen myself leaning back into that kind of position as well, so many times, as mentioned, because I started that kind of sport. I played soccer, I played basketball, I went climbing. I still love climbing, but I did these things in my early years as well. And I've seen others sticking to a sport since they were like 3 years old, and they're still doing it, maybe professionally today. And I did never. And I see the reasoning behind that in these exact at these exact points. And it's all coming back to how you are like getting or wrapping your head around how your child's gonna grow up, for sure, because that is in control of, and that's the fact who determines, or which determines how you're gonna end up afterwards. It's nothing is set in stone as long as you keep thinking and evaluating and understanding. And that's why I'm doing these things in these videos, because once these things you lived are coming to a point where the realization takes over them, because you saw that things don't have to stay like that forever, as they are like agile spheres you can change as your mind and body gives you these chances to adapt anew if you come up with enough motivation and persistence to do so, and also clarity behind who you are and who you don't want to be no more. And if I see myself in that kind of position that I don't want to be like that no more, switching things around, always starting, then getting on to the next thing because I didn't get enough back, or I didn't feel quite well in these kind of situations because I was known to situations that were way easier and where I could just leave and let these things be for themselves and get back to the easier things. Then that is like an realization you can build on. When I see that that is not quite right and I want to change up on that because I don't want to live like that on, then this is the chance. When clarity takes over and actually paves the way, that which comes hand in hand with that realization, it's only up to oneself if you're willing to step into it. It doesn't mean that that's like a flat path you can walk up or even walk down as it's so flat, or even with a small that decline. It can also mean that this this path you paved yourself with that kind of realization is quite an ascent. Can be a big mountain as well. You gotta almost climb up. But only by having the clarity and this realization, you're even able to like decipher the whole ground, or to see what kind of in what kind of environment you are, and if you are even able to get up on it at the current stage. Because it could be a bigger stone wall with no holes on them, and you're no climber, and you could stand in front of it knowing that, yeah, okay, I just realized that things in my life are not uh, doing great, but I'm so far away from actually getting myself closer to that finish line, or that internalized, practically, fundamentally, like experience you're going to have. Oh my god, I just made it way too broad. What I was trying to say was a realization and the clarity can be a good thing, because that means that your consciousness is, and your evaluation processes of about yourself and who you are getting into the next stage. But it doesn't mean that you are already grown to get ahead of that specific, like roadblock. It can be way bigger than your ability allows you to move over. So to see or have a certain realization can be a great thing when you allow yourself to break it down as well. Because knowing that you are still far away from your destination and the actual goal can be quite overwhelming as well. That's why breaking that fact, that realization, this clarity down can be such a great help in these sort of situations where mosquitoes bite you all the time. No, where you have these big realizations, because the overwhelming factor will always only like drown you when you see things in a too big of a scale. When you want to break free of certain patterns in your life, and you understood that about yourself and started to move ahead and see that certain things are not right for you, and you're getting brave enough to to develop yourself into a new kind of field, but you're certainly not quite in the position where you have enough like actual power within you to withstand these forces of that like roadblock that this realization brings with it. Then you might have such a big fallback once you see that it's not that easy to get up to, that you'll never get back to it. Doesn't mean that you never get back to it. You have attempts, as many as you allow yourself, but it can certainly give you such a kickback that you'll get back to old patterns quite fast. So breaking these realizations down into small kind of bite-sized steps is like a great thing to start moving towards actually being practically able to live what you got to understand about yourself. And for example, that could mean when I see that I'm not able to persist longer with a certain plan than a few months, and I head off to the next thing and the next thing, and that's not good enough, and that's not good enough, then yeah, maybe I should just start this breaking down process at the point where I start to feel who I actually am and what I try getting back from that pursuit. And this motivation behind this pursuit can be such a big factor, because when I want to pursue something specific that turns out to not be the right thing, I was already kind of in the right direction. I was in the completely wrong way. Otherwise, this experience shows me, okay, this is nothing at all, but this is also experience. This also comes with clarity. This also brings so much insights that you're able to see, okay, this experience taught me that, and I didn't feel quite right because of that reason. You can decipher these reasons when you start looking very clearly onto your experience and what the actual factors were that let it end up in that kind of way. So I think not trying it hard enough, not going a few layers down into the thing you try to pursue, maybe a big mistake you do. Because sometimes it's not only determined by the insights you get, because these insights can also like trick you. Insights can trick you into thinking that is like the fact, when it only needed to take a little bit longer for yourself to persist, a little bit more experience, little bit more perseverance, where you'll suddenly have the moment where it makes click and you see it in a completely different way. So taking it by fact and always trusting on these first intuitive feelings can also be like quite a curse. I think it's like so many other areas in life as well. It's about a balancing act, not overdoing this part and underdoing that part, but finding a good way in between, where you conclude things by clarity, intuition, and your like vision within a realization. Because these factors can intertwine in between and play out each other as well. So I don't think I'll ever start something again and end up thinking that I might need something else and that I might not be grown for that or not fit fit in to that kind of sphere at the very first time I'm experiencing that kind of feeling. Because from the beginning on, where you have this certain, where you perceive the feeling of, okay, things are not going in the right direction with your personal pursuit, that very first moment is only an indicator to show you where things are heading, but it doesn't need to be the fact. So questioning further, understanding it deeper, and also trying to sort out of a good fitting solution will be my objective with whatever I try to do. Because that won't ever trick me into trying to find or trying to just run away from it. Just backing off so hard that I won't find a meaningful direction even after I leave. Because these insights, these views I got are coming with value, and where the value in experience gets defined the most, I think, is when you let it sink enough, where you truly try out to understand the overall situation. And when that means having a hard time, then it's sometimes worth it. Because leaving too early will also bring with it that you leave out experience you make and insights you get. So it's a balancing act, as mentioned. But we gotta try to see. We gotta perceive it for ourselves in a deep enough way to start getting ahead of a realization we have. And will then be able to determine our next steps. So, whatever you're trying to do, I think I don't have to tell you more. Yeah, that's about it for that one. Wish you a great day and see you very soon.